Good morning, dear students. Once again, welcome back to the English literature class. Today, we are continuing with the same poem, unit number 4, After Blenheim, written by Robert Southey, part 1. Do you remember what we were discussing in the last class? In the last class, we were discussing about the different literary devices used by the author in this poem, and how it helped in improving the quality, the beauty of the poem. That's what we were discussing in the last class. Today we are going to begin with the poem. Here we go. It was a summer evening. Old Casper's work was done, and he before his cottage door was sitting in the sun. And by him spotted on the green his little grandchild, Wilhelmine. I repeat, it was a summer evening. Old Casper's work was done, and he before his cottage door was sitting in the sun. And by him spotted on the green his little grandchild, Wilhelmine. Before we move to the stanza, there is a new word for you, spotted, which means played. Play something or enjoying something. Okay. It was a summer evening. Old Casper's work was done, and he before his cottage door was sitting in the sun. So the first character of this poem is Old Casper, the grandfather. So it was a summer evening. Of course, the climate was so hot, and after completing all his work, because of the hard work of the day, because of the hard climate, he was fully tired, he was fully exhausted, and therefore he was sitting in front of his cottage door. From there he was watching, he was observing something, because just in front of him his grandchild Wilhelmine was playing. His little grandchild Wilhelmine was playing in front of him. So he was just enjoying the moments of the child. At the same time, he was taking a little rest. She saw her brother Peterkin roll something large and round, which he beside the rivulet in playing there had found. He came to ask what he had found that was so large and smooth and round. I repeat, she saw her brother Peterkin roll something large and round, which he beside the rivulet in playing there had found. He came to ask what he had found that was so large and smooth and round. There is a new word for you, rivulet, rivulet, which means a small stream. Now let's see what's the meaning of this stanza. So Wilhelmine, she saw her brother. So the second character of this poem is Wilhelmine. She was the grandchild of Old Casper. So she saw her brother Peterkin, the third character of this poem. Altogether 3 characters are there in this poem. First one Old Casper, second one Wilhelmine, and third one Peterkin. So Wilhelmine was playing in front of the cottage door, sitting near to Old Casper. She saw her brother Peterkin roll something large and round. So she saw something in her brother's hand. What was the speciality of that? Rolling something large and round, large in size and round in shape, which he beside the rivulet. So he was sitting near to the rivulet, and from there he was playing. And Wilhelmine noticed that there is something in his hand. In playing there had found. So while he played beside the rivulet, he got something large and round, and his sister Wilhelmine had found it in his hand. He came to ask what he had found that was so large and smooth and round. So he took it in his hand and came to his grandpa. What was the speciality of that thing, what he had found? It was so large, so it was big in size, and it was so smooth, and it was round in shape. And the child was not knowing what it was. That's why he took it and came to his grandfather to know what it was. Old Caspar took it from the boy, who stood expectant by. And then the old man shook his head, and with a natural sigh, "It's some poor fellow's skull," said he, "who fell in the great victory." I repeat, old Caspar took it from the boy, who stood expectant by. And then the old man shook his head, and with a natural sigh, "It's some poor fellow's skull," said he, "who fell in the great victory." There is a new word for you, expectant, which means expecting or hoping to get a reply. Suppose if you are asking a question to somebody, we will expect an answer from the person. We will wait for the answer of what we have asked for. So the same way, here the boy was standing. He was expecting an answer. So let's see what's the meaning of this stanza. Old Caspar took it from the boy. So the boy brought it to his grandpa, and old Caspar took it from him, who stood expectant by. So he was waiting for the answer, because he was so anxious to know what it was. He was so curious to know what it was. Something smooth, something big, and something round in shape. And he was not knowing. That's why he was having a curiosity to know what it was. And then the old man shook his head, and with a natural sigh. So the old man shook his head. So once when he got it, he understood that it is not something natural. But in a very normal way, he just made a natural sigh. He took a long deep breath, and he replied, "It's some poor fellow's skull," said he. So what was that round shape or smooth white colored thing? It was the skull of a human being. "It's some poor fellow's skull," said he, "who fell in the great victory, who died in the great war." So there was a war. In the war, somebody died, maybe a soldier, maybe a civilian. Anyway, it's the skull of a human being who died, who fell in the great victory. So dear students, we are winding up today, and in the next class we will continue with the poem. Till then, I would like to sign off. Thank you.